Hello, everyone. Welcome to Through the Smoke. This is episode number 2. My name is Attila Bruce.
My name is Paul Sugden.
And I'm Shane McBagley.
And we're going to be talking barbecue and whiskey.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Shane has prepared something that is looking quite juicy and smells pretty delicious too. So we will be tasting that. Ideally, what the plan for today is to begin the conversation talking about what we've been cooking. I've barbecued yesterday, which is pretty cool.
Nice one.
You've been barbecuing.
Unusual for you.
Well, exactly.
You're finally in the club.
Yeah.
You've been
We're switching
barbecuing.
sides. Next time I'll be hosting the tasting and you can wheel the kettle out front.
I'm happy with that.
Yeah.
We'll be talking about, obviously, what we've been barbecuing around, and we'll move into something juicy to match the juicy steaks in front of us. And that will lead nicely onto us talking about Feis, or the Isle Festival, or Feis, as you like to say.
I've been trying to pronounce it for
I'm
5
quite
years.
excited to hear about this.
No.
And on the second part of the episode, we've got 3 bottles of this very intriguing looking mystery malt, which is the first or the series 1 from Thompson Brothers of their mystery malt. It can be a number of different whiskies inside a bottle, and you only know what it is once you crack open the little seal at the top, and you've got an age statement and the distillery that we're going to be talking about. So we've got 3 bottles, and on the second half of the podcast, we will be tasting all 3 on what is called a double blind. So we're not going to know what they are until we've tasted them all, judged, scored, and hopefully loved, or not.
And then you find out what it is.
Exactly. I paid money for this.
Yeah. Fantastic. That sounds amazing.
Cool. So
Right. So I had some meat left over from, I've had, it's first week of June right now, and May and June and July is like peak season for me. And I end up with a lot of meat that I need to get through after these events. So in honor of you, Attila, I brought some picanha, which is a Brazilian cut
yes,
of beef, a bit like Attila here. And I've made a sauce with it, which is a sherry vinegar reduction with some horseradish and a little bit of sugar. In America, we call this like a gastrique sauce, which is like sweetened vinegar with some sort of flavor in it. Every British chef I know pronounce it gastric sauce, which sounds like something you talk to your doctor about, I think. So I prefer gastrique. And then I've just got some wild garlic salt on it, and it's just really simple, reverse seared over charcoal. Is too much for me to eat on my own, so I thought I'd bring it down for you guys to taste. And yeah, let's try it. And I asked Attila to bring a bottle that he thought might pair with these flavors. So we're gonna put your palate to the test.
The test was from this morning, so it's like, by the way, I've got meat, and this is what I've got. Do you want to pair with something? So thankfully, both me and Paul have read the message.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, fairly luckily, this arrived on Friday. This is I'm not going to say it, the Isle Festival Ardbeg release. Well, I think it's the Ardbeg release. Anyway, it came out on Friday, and their day was Saturday. And it's the Ardbeg Smokerverse, which, reading the bottle, sounded like it was going to fit pretty nicely.
Sounds right up my alley.
Fruity and nice and smoky, so I think it should go with the meat pretty well, I think. Yeah.
The main differential of that bottle is that they've used for the first time a what is it? High density.
So a high density malt,
gravity
mash. Yeah.
So what does that mean?
So it means what they've tried to. Well, if I was brewing, it would be I was trying to add loads of depth of flavour and richness to the malts, bring out the malt characteristics more, bringing out the barley more.
So does that mean that they physically have a higher volume of barley and the ingredients
less water, more barley?
When they're making that massive beer tea that they started
That's
all
exactly
with.
right. Okay. Yeah. The thing that's a bit weird is all they're talking about is fruity flavours, which I would definitely associate with the fermentation side of things, and not what was happening with the malt. So we'll see. I mean, it smelled really nice when I opened it last night, but I got in off a flight at like 4 o'clock in the morning, so yeah, not sure. But this morning we'll give it a go, and hopefully it should go with your meat pretty well.
Good.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
And
That's too.
that's brilliant. Shane bringing out the meat,
Yeah.
showing his beef.
There you go. So I'll pass these around.
And I have brought in a
Cheers.
Berry Bros bottling of Kaulila because, one, it's a peated whiskey from Islay. It's not a Fashil release, but it is a peated whiskey from Islay that is aged in a combination of Oloroso casks. It's not fully a single cask. It looks like it's either 2 or 3 barrels put together because it's about 900 bottles. I'm not sure how much of it is first fill or refill barrels, but there's a bit of color. And Kaulila is, generally speaking, synonymous with quite a citrus fresh type of Islay festival or Islay whiskey. And I thought that both, because you've got sherry vinegar thing in there, I thought that you needed something that has got a bit of zing, but also at the same time a dark or cask influence.
Yeah.
And a bit of peat as well. So hopefully one of the two or both will be fun pairings with the Picanha.
Nice.
Oh, let's get in the...
So this is the Berry Brothers we're starting with, yeah?
No, that
This
is the Ardbeg.
Oh, the Ardbeg.
Yeah, because
Nice.
it's slightly lighter, so it'll have more cask influence. So I think
Yeah.
we'll start with a slightly lighter spirit.
Yeah, so this is bourbon or first fill bourbon or refill casks.
I haven't seen it. I presume it's all bourbon cask,
Yeah.
and it looks like, or at least
The color looks like it will be.
it colour looks like that, and also maybe a little bit young as well. I don't know.
Yes, does smell.
But it's got to be less than 10 years old because the person that chose it and had the idea has only been at the committee for doing those things for 10 years. So
Okay.
just by simple piece of maths, you'd expect it to be a bit younger than that.
Going slightly geeky, and bearing in mind that this is the first whiskey we're going to be tasting, but once you put anything in the glass, a spirit in a glass, you have a natural evaporation that happens in here. And for me, this is sitting quite high up. So you can really feel that it must be what you said, younger spirit, because younger spirit generally is a bit more active and it jumps out of the glass rather than the heavier spirits with age, more cask influence, that they sit lower in the glass. So I'm going with you that with the idea of being younger.
With the beef, you said reverse seared.
Yeah.
So literally no smoking, or just all in the kettle, or
So it was, I cooked it on a kettle style barbecue, my favorite one.
yeah.
And I cooked it over lumpwood charcoal, so that you get a tiny bit of wood smoke from it, but really charcoal, if it's anything quality, is about 98% carbon, which, use charcoal filters to filter water and things, so it doesn't really impart as much of a smoke flavor as a lot of people get. But there is a little bit of charred beef fat. Picanha normally has this lovely fat cap on the outside, which is why I went for the acidic vinegar sauce on it, because it kind of cuts through that rich fattiness. And so you get a little bit of that charred fat smoke from it, but there's not really any wood smoke on there.
It's amazing because when you brought it out, it smelled really smoky.
I mean, this is also down to me doing lots of low and slow barbecue where I'm really sort of chasing deep, richer smoke. So I can appreciate that what I might consider not very smoky to you might still be very smoky. Especially for, if people are used to steaks cooked in a frying pan versus over charcoal, or even a gas grill will taste smokier than anything you get cooked in a conventional kitchen. So.
Am I right to say that picanha is a different way of cutting what is otherwise a rump steak?
Kind of. So rump is a real lazy way of cutting sort of three muscles. You have the top rump cap, which is the picanha, and then you have, I'm probably going to get this wrong, and I'm sure there's some butcher who will call me out on it, but I think the next couple of muscles are the top side and the silver side. Mm-hmm. And because you have three muscles that work in three different ways, they end up getting three different densities, and the grain flow goes different ways, and that's why sometimes you get these massive rump steaks, and they're so inconsistent in the way that all of them cook. So it's really... But picanha, out of the three muscles, is the most tender, and lots of butchers, and myself included, prefer singling muscles out when you cut steaks and cuts of beef down, just because if you have a load of different muscles with different densities, they're going to cook it in different rates, and inevitably one will be overcooked and tough, and one will be slightly undercooked, and you'll get that flabby chewiness to it. So it's just about consistency. But I really love picanha. I think it's a bit similar to a tri-tip. If you guys are familiar with that, it's a cut from California that's really, really popular over there, where because it's a relatively well-worked muscle, it has a much richer beefy taste than, say, a sirloin or fillet, but it's because it's a bit more worked, it's not as tender as those others, but it's still better than a standard rump.
But you'd have to go to a specialist butcher to get this, though, right? Because you can't really see it very often over here.
I've seen it in Waitrose.
Oh, well, there you go. Okay. Well, I'll go shop at Waitrose.
Our butcher's down in Stroud. Shout out to Jack Knight. He sorts me out picanha fairly frequently.
Pretty amazing butcher as well.
Yeah, it's gotten a lot more popular in recent years. Previously I used to have to order it online, but most butchers now know what it is.
Nice. It's the Brazilian beef coming out.
Yeah.
By the way, having a little, two delicious sips of the Ardbeg. If you recall, we went to Isla a year ago, just under a year ago, September last year.
It's all a blur.
It was quite a trip. We came out from there with notes of slight disappointment on a lot of Ardbeg things. A lot of the...
Did you guys go to the distillery?
No, we didn't visit Ardbeg this time, but every day and night that we were there, we were going to whiskey-led bars or restaurants, so they had massive lists, and we would be drinking 9 to 12 different drams per night.
Is this where your notebook started?
No, I was doing it quite a long time before that, but it did add a healthy amount to this. Because I was trying to fill the holes in, because I've had most of the committee releases or special releases over the last couple of years. So Ardbeg do a committee release, which is like their club, I suppose. And so they release committee bottlings. Sometimes they're early access, so like this one's a committee release, but it's basically just early access for the Feis release. Said that wrong again.
That's all right.
And then other times they are literally releases at a higher ABV. So they might like they had the Anamorphic they released last year, and that was at a higher ABV, and then they did a standard release at 40%. So you get the two types of release. And so that club just gives you access to those things. Nice. And I've had most of them, if not all, in the last at least 6 years, I think.
Okay.
And they do... There are some highs and lows.
Yes.
Wow, yeah.
There's a couple we tried when we were there that I was desperate to try because everyone said it's like one of the best Ardbegs they'd had for ages, and maybe that had been built up a little bit in my mind, and I finally got to have it, and I was like,
Yeah.
I preferred the Anamorphic I got like last week. I don't know what.
Okay.
Yeah.
I have to say this is probably one of the best examples, in my view and my taste, one of the best examples of an Ardbeg special release, if you may, over the last, 5 years or so.
Well, it's meant to be a celebration of 20 years for...
Since they were brought back, or the committee? And
the committee's been going for 10, because they've just got new committee chairs literally today.
Okay.
Because the old ones stepped down. So they've got 2 new ladies doing that. Didn't have enough time to read the blurb.
Maybe 20 years since revival, new ownership.
It must be,
the MH took over. Put a bit of money in there.
Just a couple of sips, and the smokiness is fantastic.
Yeah.
The tropical fruit is there in spades. The nose, I was a little bit, smelt very peaty and quite, possibly a little bit angry. But as soon as you taste it, it opens up.
Yeah, it definitely tastes a lot lighter than it smells.
And I love the density on the palate. There is a lovely, nearly oiliness. There's a density to the spirits that is very alluring. It wraps up the palate very nicely.
25 years on the Ardbeg committee.
Is it 25 years the Ardbeg committee? Okay, right. Yeah. There's a 20 in there somewhere.
There you go. Almost there.
2010, 25.
It was 4 o'clock in the morning. I wasn't expecting it here last week. I thought this would get delivered today.
Yeah.
I ordered it when we were on holiday. I got the notification that it might have arrived on Friday, and my head chef went and found it for me, and then had a sample, and then left it on my desk. And all I got was a big thumbs up from him when he tried it on Friday night. So
Surprised there was much of the bottle left if he's like getting head chefs. Like
well, I think he's fairly well behaved until I get back, and then that's.
You're the bad influence.
The Angel share at the Black Horse in Amberley is quite strong.
It is quite strong.
Well, let's get stuck in the picanha.
So, would you recommend picanha as a good alternative to sirloin as a cut?
Personally, the price difference, hands down, I would choose picanha every day. If you're not really concerned with the price so much, yeah, if you go for a proper dry aged sirloin, that sort of gives that chance of that rich beef flavor to kind of come back into the meat. But yeah, I very rarely go for sirloin. I think it's a very overrated cut. Yeah, I definitely eat a lot more picanha than sirloin. So, in short, yes, I would.
That's fantastic.
Yeah,
Yes.
It's so smoky
Not
for
bad.
how much you say it's only been cooked. So, when you say low and slow,
so
do you
that's
have like a temperature you're aiming for, or a time you're aiming for, or?
yes. So one of the things I do as my day job is cookery classes. So I'm teaching people how to achieve these kinds of things. And for low and slow, we're generally looking at a cook that is between 90 degrees centigrade and 130 degrees centigrade.
Okay.
If it's lower than that, it's not really cooking. It's just kind of festering in a warm place.
Yeah.
And
It's the name of your biography.
festering in a warm place.
Nice.
That's why
Some flies on top of it.
yeah. And if you have it much hotter than that, it might start to sear off a bit. And once the protein's set, it doesn't really absorb smoke that well.
Yeah.
So when I do it low and slow to start, I will admit on this one, because, you know, it was early in the morning. I was trying to get it done before I came down here. I did cook it at about 145 centigrade for about 30 minutes. Okay. And then popped some more lumpwood charcoal on, left the lid open on the grill to build the flames up, and then just seared it off to try and render some of that fat down. And get. I love the taste of charred beef fat. Like, I think it's one of the nicest things there is.
Totally agree with you on that.
And also, like, the lovely thing when that happens is it also helps coat the grates and everything on the grill with some nice oily fat. So when you flip it back over to the flesh side of the cut, that helps build up that crust as well. And I did use the wild garlic salt, and I always tell people it's so key to use sea salt flakes when grilling meats, because as all the moisture comes to the surface on those cuts, it absorbs into the crystals, and then when it's exposed to the high heat, they crystallize, so you get a much nicer, beefy crust and a better sear, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And then we just finished it with a little bit of those as well.
You're talking all about your temperatures in Celsius, and I've literally been sort of dabbling in smoking and stuff for a couple of years now, and I know everything in Fahrenheit.
Yeah.
And so I can't. I'm gonna have to go and convert that all later.
It's really frustrating, actually, because when I moved to the UK, all of it was in Fahrenheit, and I really struggled to remember Fahrenheit now. I just remember that, like, around 400 degrees Fahrenheit is around about 200 degrees Celsius, and that's kind of an easy conversion for me. But the rest of it is like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Let's not go there.
Yeah.
Well, I think that worked really well together.
Yeah, I did too, actually. Much better than I expected, to be honest. I thought the peat on this was going to be really overpowering, but it works really well. And it's got like a very, I don't know how to describe it, but it kind of reminds me of a lot of Irish whiskies have this flavor that I sort of associate with buttery porridge, which is like a kind of lighter whiskey flavor, and I'm getting that in this a lot. Not like, I know you said it was sort of
Fruity.
lighter and fruitier, but that's, I don't know.
It's lighter and fruity flavors, but still with a density.
Yeah, it's kind of
a
like
buttery density for me.
yeah, a little bit like the way buttercup flowers smell.
Yeah.
Sounds really very posh and middle class.
I spend a lot of time smelling buttercup flowers.
Yeah.
Is that what you do in your weekends? You just go around the fields in Amberley, jumping, hopping, and checking
dodging the cowpats and
4 or 5 drams deep, just looking for
at
flowers.
4 a.m. drinking Ardbeg on the fields with your buttercups.
It does have that like lovely layer of peat that kind of, I feel like, almost sits like a little cloud on top of those lighter, creamier flavors.
It's definitely almost one of those drams. I would say it's of 2 parts.
Yeah.
So you've got this kind of really nice, kind of rich but fruity, creamy note at the bottom.
Yeah.
And then straight into, oh, there's the smoke afterwards. Yeah. Which is quite fun. I've always liked that.
And I find the difference before and after having it with the meat tastes like 2 different whiskeys almost to me.
The sauce of the steak as well, it's a little bit, it's sweeter than I had it in my mind. You should have told me that it was gastric sauce.
Sorry.
Gastric, yeah.
Because of that sweetness, I was expecting more of the sherry vinegarness to come through. Well, let's see. I still have hopes for my bottle anyway, but I'm really enjoying the nose of the Ardbeg. It's really delicious. It's taking me back to, this is obviously a little personal anecdote in there, but back at home when I knew it was getting to Christmas time, which is beginning of December, my mum would pull out the boxes and start setting up the Christmas tree, which, unlike the Northern Hemisphere, in there is summer.
Like a coconut tree, or
well, it's not a coconut tree. We don't use actual pine. We have fake trees and so on. But then Mum decorates with all sort of different things. But there would be these little candles that would come out every year. They would never lit, but the smell of the candles, as soon as they would be open, we open the boxes. This smell, there was a mix of, I don't know, fresh cotton with a hint of frankincense somewhere there. There's a sweetness, but it's light and airy, and
I think I know the.
It's what I'm getting on this Ardbeg.
Yeah,
it's feeling nostalgic to me. It takes me to Brazilian Christmas time with Mum, helping up Mum to set up the Christmas tree. So it's quite fun. Drum number 2 to pair Shane's Picanha. This is Kaulila from an independently bottled Kaulila by Berry Brothers. This, they say, bottled in 2021, vintage 2010, so this is 11 years old, and just a cask hogshead, and one of 953 bottles. It has been watered down to 46%. Makes me think that this must be 2 casks watered down. By the color, it gives that it's sherry cask, but how much of it is first fill? Maybe one first fill, one second fill, I'm not sure. But it's got a bit of color. And on the nose as well, you can get that there is a good influence of the sherry cask in there. And also considering it's 11 years old.
It smells incredible.
Definitely. Well, if it's not first fill, it's got a lot of sediment in there.
Yes.
So you'd normally associate that with the first fill.
And I did think that, the fruitiness of generally youngish Kaulila plus that density, the influence and the spice of the sherry cask would be fruity, zingy to go with the sherry vinegar thing, plus a bit of smoke and a bit of the darkness to go with, of course, the meat, the barbecue.
Gotta try them side by side now.
Even the even though it's watered down to 46, that musty first filly kind of cask flavour and smell is right there. You can smell it. It's fantastic. When you said it gives you the idea that it's 2 watered down casks put together, where did that come from? Why?
It's 46%.
Oh, you mean so you just right?
It would have been
watered down anyway. Right.
Yes.
Sorry.
At 11 years old, nothing would be 46%.
Yeah. Sorry. The way you said it sounded like it was a process that.
No, it's. I'm considering 900 and something bottles.
Yeah.
Would have been 2 casks, or potentially 3 casks, if they were all at cask strength. But being 11 years old, 2 casks, you will get 350 bottles out of each if you're bottling at cask strength.
Yeah.
but that would have
If you're
been
lucky.
at a good 60 odd percent. It's been watered down to 46, so you get a little bit more volume out of it. It's been watered down to a point that I think it's still delicious. It doesn't lack anything. It doesn't lack that extra oomph that it's sometimes you feel that whiskeys need. It's got a lovely density. Again, I think that it showcases that fruity citrus, Kaolila character with smoke nicely, with just this slightly, not particularly heavy, but a leather coating of the sherry casks.
I
That make it quite delicious.
absolutely love sherry casks. I think this is a really delicious glass.
This is going to sound a bit weird, and I haven't had this for quite a long time for a sherry cask. It tastes a little bit like Vimto. Like
Vimto?
yeah, peppery Vimto. It's got this kind of like dark fruity bit at the back that kind of hops into it. I don't know if, Vimto, it's not Ribena, it's definitely Vimto. It's a slightly different.
Yeah,
red fruit
Vimto is
taste.
like the it's not just blackcurrant.
Yeah,
It
it's
tastes
got
like-
some.
Yeah, I can kind of see what you mean there.
I don't know why, it's just literally triggering that straight at the back of the mind. Yeah.
There's almost a little bit of just like an extra sugary element to it. Like I think I see what you mean with the Vimtos. Is also you get all these tastes and then you have like a little bit of them. I was tasting quite a lot of like Demerara sugar.
Yeah,
So it's,
there's something a little bit Christmas cakey tasting about it, isn't there?
Yeah.
Let's try with a bit of this, shall we?
I really rated it with the steak, and I thought it brought out the horseradish in the sauce a little bit more, and kind of a not the heat from the horseradish, sort of the I don't know, bitter astringent flavor of it, but not in a bad way.
It's weird with that when you talk about tasting, because people say like astringent flavours and everyone goes, oh, that can't be nice to drink
Yeah,
or eat. But with barbecue and whiskey, it's definitely something you have to enjoy,
yeah,
because otherwise you won't like a lot of it, I don't think. Because some of that smokiness can be quite astringent.
yeah, very much so.
That's really nice.
And by the way, perhaps just to explain a little bit to the viewers / listeners, and those of you that don't know me, why am I talking about pairing stuff and so on, and apologies for putting myself out there, but I've been in the industry for 20 years, in the drinks industry, worked for 7 years as a sommelier, hence why I geek about pairing things with drinks, either whiskey or wine or different things, a lot. I love the idea of playing with flavors. So worked for 7 years as a sommelier, and then back in 2018-19 started my own business, created a wine business that looks after private clients, and 2.5 years ago my whiskey collection was overflowing too much from the cellar with 400 plus bottles, and I thought it was safe and better for my marriage to put those bottles somewhere else, as well as in the cellar. The cellar is still quite full, but at least grow that cellar elsewhere and have a nice office to work from. So I decided to open the shop that we're sitting on, which is Holy Spirits in Nailsworth.
I'm very
Good
thankful
job.
we did.
Yeah, yeah. I love it here.
It cost me a fortune though, but it's apart from that, it's fine.
Yeah, just to explain a little bit why we geek about stuff, and wow, I love the idea of pairing things, and how actually me and Shane got to start working together as well.
Yeah, yeah. He invited me down to come and do a sort of barbecue tasting here once, and I enjoyed it so much that I come back most months if I can squeeze it in. So yeah, it's really good fun.
To our benefit. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Always good. Very nice.
I do just want to point out that there's the sort of flavour on the horseradish that changed in the sort of weird way. I was thinking when I just tasted it again, it tastes a lot like dried apricot, which is something I didn't pick out to begin with. It's
The
really
whiskey tastes like dried apricot.
I think the sauce and the whiskey with the horseradish like together just
bringing out an extra.
Yeah.
No, it's good. 1 + 1 = 3.
Yeah,
A
exactly.
new flavor in there. And as we are drinking 2 Islas, and one of them actually, more relevantly so, a Facile release, an Isla Festival release. Shall we briefly talk about Isla Festival, which so today is a Monday, and Isla Festival finished yesterday.
Saturday. Yeah, just Saturday.
So Isla Festival 2025 just finished. So I thought it would be interesting for our viewers and listeners to hear what is the Isla Festival. Well, you're a bit of a fanatic about it, so
I've tried to go 4 times now, and I've failed to get there every single time due to a little bit of pushback from the wife. She doesn't think it's going to be great for the kids, but that's fine. I'm still working on that. But also now it's kind of almost a whiskey mecca event of the year. It's one of the biggest whiskey events in the calendar, I think.
In the world,
Well, in the world, yeah. And it started out in 1986. So in 1984, a committee got together and said, how can we get more tourism to the island? And they said, and so it got started as a Gaelic folk music festival.
Oh, cool.
And funnily enough, they didn't really get into whiskey until much later. I think something like 1990, they did a whiskey tasting, like a competition, and one of the Isla whiskies won. Don't know if that's weighted in any way whatsoever.
Yeah.
But and then after that, it kind of gradually got bigger and bigger. And then the first distillery to open day was in 2000. And then the first official distillery release for it was from Ardbeg in 2002.
Cool.
So for how big it is now, it's one of the big things I've always wanted to do since I've got into whiskey. It's actually quite new. But it's kind of one of these things where you've got to book the year before, because obviously the island's very small.
It's 3,500 people on the island, living on the island, and I think during the festival there is something like, 40,000-50,000 people there.
Oh, wow.
It's crazy. Yeah.
So we need to work on this for next year.
Each of the distilleries.
If you're from this festival, I do a lot of festival activations. And be very happy to wheel my barbecue along.
Holy Spirits, Will Phil, let's go wide.
The best barbecuer in the world at the moment right now.
Exactly. We'll make it work. We'll plan. We'll make it work.
Maybe first by then.
Maybe.
So every day, a different distillery or a pair of distilleries, they have an open day. They put on big events. So like there's music, there's like a very big festival atmosphere all across the island. They have lots of different events happening. And just basically everyone comes to it. The thing that's kind of a bit crazy is everyone I speak to who's been seems to go every year.
Yeah.
So as far as I can tell, everyone goes again. And then all they're doing is adding extra people coming.
Yes.
Yeah.
But that's why if you want to go, you really have to plan the year before.
Plan in advance, book accommodation, book the travel and everything else. And make space for it to happen.
Yeah.
It is a small island. It's a stunning island. My love for the island is well known, to the point I've named my daughter after it.
I wanted to name my son Ruben after the sandwich, but my missus wasn't standing for it. But Isla admittedly does sound a lot nicer than Ruben.
It perhaps looks much nicer than the sandwich too. It's a stunning island. So yes. And shall we have a little break? And once we come back, we will get into the 3 mystery malt bottles from the Thompson Brothers. Well, welcome back to Through the Smoke. And on this second half of the episode, we will be talking about Thompson Brothers and tasting the 3 mystery malts. So for those of you that don't know, Thompson Brothers are, it's Phil and Simon, 2 brothers, that in 2017 decided to, through a crowdfunding program, 200 odd people from across the world decided to help them and invest in their project of creating a tiny little distillery on the grounds of Dornoch Castle. And you're talking about Eastern Highlands.
Okay.
And they created a little whiskey distillery called Dornoch. The very first distillate was in 2017, and the first release was in 2020. I was just checking that out. And they have since released 16 different releases. Mm-hmm. All of them are released on a ballot system. So you go there, you sign up, you commit to, yes, I want to buy it, and you hope that your name gets pulled up. In the last, 2 odd years that I've been trying to get one on every single release that came out, I managed to get one. I haven't yet opened it. It's beautiful and it's at home. It's the one with a cat on the label thing. and I'm looking forward to cracking it open. But before we get to that bottle, we may get one of them in here. We don't know. So the beauty of this particular release is that, it's a blind purchase in a way, in the best sense of it. You are paying £65 for a mystery malt, so you don't know what it is. There is a little QR code, and if you go on the website, they give you a list of what potentially may be there. So at least you can be enticed into looking into that if you're not sure about buying it or not. And you see that all of the potential releases vary from, I think, as young as a 4-year-old, I think a locally 4-year-old, 5-6-year-old Glenlivet or Namukan. There's like a 11 or 13-year-old Bruichladdich. There's a Bunnahabhain, and it goes all the way to a 26-year-old Glenspey. There is a list. Maybe if there's a way that we can publish that little list on the screen, we'll try to do that. But very small batch of everything. Some of them are as little as, 43 odd bottles of something, up to maybe a couple hundred bottles of something else. I've cracked open the seal around it so we can open it, but I haven't really opened the little cap, because on top of the cap you've got a number, which is the age of the whiskey, and you've got the name of the distillery. But I want us to taste without knowing what we're tasting, so we can judge simply by what is in the glass.
And just for people who can't see this because they're listening, basically it comes in a perfectly black bottle with a big, fantastic question mark on the front, and then really brief description on the back. So it just gives nothing away. Even the bottom is black, so you can't see any colour or anything.
Thompson Brothers Mystery Malt on the back. Single malt whiskey, and a little bit about how you don't know what's inside the bottle, basically.
They have all been bottled at 48.5 ABV as well, so you don't know.
I was wondering about that, because I was looking at these and wondering, like, are they going to be 3 of the same bottle, because they all have the same ABV.
They have been all bottled at the same ABV, which I suppose helps to guarantee that people are not buying a specific one, wanting a certain distillery and so on. And also this encourages people to buy the whiskey to drink rather than to flip on the auction market, which happens a lot. And I may have seen that there is already a couple of bottles on the auction market, which is just how the nature of things go anyway.
These mystery malt bottles, do you know how many are available? Like, is it a limited batch or anything like that?
It is a limited batch. Again, on that list, which I think I sent to both of you.
Yes.
I'm happy to pull it out. I want to say it's probably less than 900 or about 900 bottles altogether.
That's not many, that actually. But that like a single cask will give you 200 bottles kind of a go. So
given how many distilleries were on that list.
Lots of fun to be had. Nearly anything that is in there, like 65 quid, really is worth the money. So
which way? Where do you start?
Left to right?
Left to right?
Left to right, according to the screen.
Okay.
I suppose.
Think about that.
Okay, so like this, I cannot see nothing in there, so we still don't know what the distillate is.
Oh, it's quite
pale.
quite pale.
It's a pale one.
It's a pale.
It's a pale. It's not a whiskey, it's just a pale.
Oh, it's very pale.
Ooh.
Mr. Malts number 1 for our cameraman too.
Sneaking in the background.
Thirsty cameraman.
Yep. It's thirsty work, doing it.
Thirsty cameraman.
It smells.
Smells very different than...
I think we should do fresh glasses next time. Though.
Yes, there was a bit of peat from the previous ones, like smells peaty, and then I did this a little swirling, and I don't think there is peat. But there is a popcorn smell to it.
See, now that's one of those things where my brain hadn't quite connected the flavour, and as soon as you said that, I'm there. Definitely popcorn, that's all it is in there.
It's getting like... Doesn't sound great, but a little bit of ammonia smell to it.
Oh.
How many bodies have you had to clean recently?
Like kind of sharp red fruits.
Yeah,
like kind of like
the red currant.
Yeah.
Smells like it's a relatively young spirit.
I was definitely agree with that.
Again, citrus, bright.
Almost a bit minty.
Yeah.
A little bit of like grapefruit kind of pomelo.
Oh, maybe
That sort of, it's got like that sort of bittery flavor you get from grapefruit.
Lovely nose, though.
Yeah, going in.
Yeah, it's
Get in there.
very different from most things I generally drink. Wow.
Tropical fruits.
Yeah, there's like straight away I was like, I taste guava like very prominently.
We had a independent
Yeah.
bottle of a Bravel. I don't know if you pronounce that right, Bravel. And that was exactly the same, like slightly thin on the nose. And you tasted it and you were like, oh, it's a tropical fruit explosion.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really nice.
Yeah, so that's going to be like
Yeah. It's
possibly first fill bourbon.
Which
Yeah,
is so far
probably.
different from like what I usually go to drink. It's yeah.
Oh, you're a PX man,
true.
as we have found
Yeah.
out.
I don't mean that in a bad way either. Like I really enjoy it, but it's tastes very unfamiliar.
I find it's really hard. So I love tropical fruit, fresh fill, first fill, second fill bourbon casks. But it's really hard to know which one you're going to get. So sometimes you get it and it's just vanilla and spicy and no tropical fruits.
Yeah, that's kind of what I associate with any sort of bourbon cask.
And every now and then you get a bourbon one that's just tropical fruit galore. And that was one of the reasons why I fell in love with that Nicknean before, because it was, it smelled great and you got this really rich tropical fruit flavour afterwards.
Yeah.
I'm loving this. This is
Yeah, it's really, really nice.
yeah. So there is you mentioned that the pomelo grapefruit thing. So there is something. There is a citrus character, but like a fleshy character to it. It's more into blood orange grapefruit sort of thing. But there is also a nearly. You mentioned guava earlier on. I'm thinking more papaya even as well. There is a tropical character to it. That is
I hate when
really
this happens when I think of a tasting note and then Attila says it like 3 minutes later and I'm like, I did think of that.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lovely, as you said, a tropical fruit bomb, but it's it's as much as there's a tropical exotic nose and flavor, there is also that freshness that comes from the citrus.
Just at the end, it's kind of almost not aniseedy, but a little bit like it comes back to like a rich kind of.
I get what you mean. It's
Aniseed, what am I looking for?
almost a little bit like caraway. in a
Yeah,
way.
that's right. Sparks. It's like you get this big tropical thing, and it comes down and it goes to this sweet fuller, and then you get that.
It's a really like flavor spectrum is all over the place. It's really good.
£65, whatever it is.
Yeah,
That's
That's great.
if anyone hasn't yet bought one of them and you have, and if there is still stock available, check the Thompson Brothers website and buy one, because if whatever it is, it will be worth it. If it's this one, you're on the money.
this is
delicious.
very special.
This is delicious.
I think people listening should also know that the three gentlemen are going to have a fight over which bottle they get to take home.
Yes. So we all agreed to buy a bottle. We don't know what they are, and the agreement at the beginning of the episode was that we're gonna open them, taste them, and probably pick whatever we think is our favorite. And hopefully there will be 3 different bottles, and like God knows if we're gonna have 3 different favorites, and hopefully that will be the case. So we each can go home with a bottle that we think is favorite. Otherwise, we may have a fight.
Yeah, I've probably only had about 6 or 7 on the list. And of those, the only one in a flavour profile that's fairly similar to this, but it has not got the base for it, would probably be Nicknean for me.
Yeah.
But it hasn't got the...
It doesn't taste like the same sort of.
it doesn't feel
that
the
distillate.
Yeah.
When we tried their new make,
I hope
it
it's
had
not Nicknean now.
I'm with you though. Like when we went on that trip and got to taste the new make, I felt like that sort of made it so much easier for me to pick apart a whiskey and what flavor is being imparted from what. But I remember their new make very strong in my mind, and I'd be quite surprised if that's Nicknean. But
So-
it is equally it's very good.
If you're not willing to take a guess where it is, do you want to score it?
I think we should score it, and I do have a guess of what it may be.
Oh, okay.
Because it
Well,
reminds me of a distillery.
Yeah.
or distillate from this distillery, and I have an open bottle of I want to say it's an 11. Oh, funny enough, a Thompson Brothers bottling of Sutherland whiskey, which is Clynelish.
Oh, okay, yeah. I think I've only had Clynelish here. I don't think I haven't become accustomed by drinking a bottle yet.
We can fix that.
You know what it also is kind of reminding me of is you know the like you get shredded wheat and some of them have different types of fruit in them. They do an apricot one.
Okay, yeah.
And it's that sort of shredded wheat cereal flavor, like paired with the tropical fruit, is like fairly similar.
It's getting richer in the glass.
Yeah.
It's getting heavier.
Which again,
That youth kind of.
I'll be very happy if this is a Clynelish. I'm like, yes, I can taste all this, and be very disappointed if it's not, because it will show that blind tasting demystifies anything that you think you know about some of it.
Jack Daniels.
Yes, but thankfully not. What would you be scoring? I once said for me this is
It's a solid 7 for me.
yeah. I think for me this is an 8.
Is it an 8? I don't know. You know.
Don't be influenced by my.
No. I think it's a 7. The finish isn't quite long enough for me. But what's quite fun is when I come back to it, it gets more. It gets richer.
Yeah.
So I'd be interested to taste this again after it's been open for a bit, because maybe some of that slightly fieriness might have dissipated a bit after the bottle's been open for a bit.
As that flavor builds, I feel like I'm getting a lot more of that cereal sort of caraway toasted bread flavor come through, whereas to start with it was really tropical, fruity.
That's it. When I first tasted it, it was like poof, bright
Yeah.
citrus, and then it's dulled down to slightly more richer stone fruit kind of territory.
Yeah. Or whatever it is, first bottle spanking.
Fantastic.
Just so people listening and watching that as well, you guys will see what the bottle is directly now, but the three gentlemen won't know until the end to keep it even more blind. So you'll know before they do.
Yes, let's do this. So whiskey number 1. I'll show the audience before we know whatever that is. I don't know how.
Can you even see that?
No, not really.
Ben cannot see. Well, too bad. Oh my God!
Lockley.
The first whiskey is a 4-year-old Lockley.
Yeah.
That was
The
very
tropical
special.
fruit bomb, delicious, amazing texture. Yeah, fun, lovely stuff. 4-year-old Lockley, spanking bottle. Well done to the Lockley guys.
4 years old.
That's the second Lockley I've had that is like,
And that's the one that I
very
thought it was
special bottle.
potentially Clynelish. So kudos to Lockley to produce very delicious juice.
That's the
4 years old to be that good and accomplished.
third Lockley I've had. All of them good. All 100%.
Yeah.
7s.
That
Well, actually 8s, because the first one I had, I bought 2 bottles off. Because I was worried about missing out on it, because there's only like 200 bottles of it.
And to the Lockley guys, I have been trying to get hold of them to come to the shop and see me, because I want to work with one of the lines permanently in the shop. That's an invitation. Come and see us. Well done. It's delicious.
Yeah, very nice.
And Thompson Brothers, well done on finding that cask, because it's a very delicious
Special
cask. Very good. Okay, Mr. Malt number 2. This is a really fun game, by the way.
Yeah,
this
this is one of my favourite things to do.
This smells amazing, by the way.
Yeah, it's really
Fun, very different.
It's going to sound really weird. It's almost finishing off where that one was kind of getting to.
Yeah.
Kind of like stone fruity.
Yeah.
But there is an immediate muscovado sugar coating.
It smells a bit plummy.
Plum, yeah.
Maybe.
Almond plum tart.
Almond, yeah.
You know, that biscuity base as well. And lovely nose. This is...
do you reckon it's definitely a sherry cask?
I don't think it is.
You don't think it is?
It'd have to be quite an old...
it could be a second fill sherry cask. Could even be
I guess
something
those-
like an STR.
That almondy sort of fruit flavour is what largely what I associate.
Is it? Okay,
with,
yeah. I have to try it first. If there's some spice in there, then I might change my mind.
Smells like it could be older as well. Lovely nose.
Oh, mate, that is nectar. I found the bottle I'm picking.
Could be sherry.
He's the favourite for the fight as well, to be fair.
It smells like, an almond plum tart that you're eating at the veranda of an old library, if there is such a thing. If there is such a thing, because it's not so much that you're inside the old library, you're at the veranda of it, so there is the leather, mahogany, wood sort of character, but it's in the background, and you can smell the fresh air coming in, so hence the veranda thing. Sorry, I'm going a bit silly in my tasting notes.
Very similar to me, like quite an old Glenfarclas that I've had before. Like that kind of brings me back to that sherry. Maybe it is sherry. I don't know.
But yes, with the Glenfarclas, minus the, sometimes I find on some Glenfarclas there is that strong, being brutal and perhaps simplistic, slightly musty,
Yeah.
earthen sort of smell to it, and this one doesn't. This one feels slightly brighter, fruitier. Beautiful nose though.
Raisins,
Really beautiful
raisins
nose. I
and
can
plums.
smell this all day.
Yeah, something really great. Yeah, it kind of. It almost reminds me a little bit of like a brandy.
Mm-hmm.
It's got notes of like an aged cherry, like a 30-year-old cherry, something like that, like those kind of like honeysuckle kind of raisiny notes.
Or
at
a
the beginning.
29-year-old Spey cherry.
What a 29-year-old Spain cherry. Yeah.
The palate is spankingly good.
Oh, it goes forever.
Yeah, beautiful.
See, I enjoyed this. This was fun.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I know, but that's like a spring summery malt. The first one is like a spring summery malt. Was the second one that we're tasting is leading to autumn, end of the afternoon, sunset.
I feel like
this is delicious.
I thought the first one was really, really good. I probably would have. I don't know. I probably would have put that between 7.5 and an 8 until trying this one. I'm like, no, it's not. It's not a patch on this one.
See, what's
Different characters, though.
What's really crazy is if we drank them in different orders, we might have had different reactions as well. Because
I think the first one's quite light. If we were to try that one after this one, I think it would taste somewhat watered down.
Yes. I was going to say perhaps not watered down, but it would be nearly unfair follow.
Yeah.
The nose in it, I can smell this every day.
Can I see that? Can I see that list again?
Yeah.
There
you go.
For those of you who are listening there now, staring at the list.
There is a cognac.
We are staring at the list of basically potential bottles that this could be potential distilleries.
Yeah, there's a Orkney cognac cask. Which,
there is.
I could see there being an element
most
of
likely would be lightly peated, because Orkney would be either Scapa or Highland Park. Highland Park. And Scapa is all 100% peated malt? Very lightly peated, or no?
I don't think so. I think I'm sure one of their general releases used to be unpeated.
Oh, there you go.
This is. I'd like to think it's a bit older.
I think it smells a bit older. There's a lovely influence of the casks that makes it.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's this darker fruit, more spice, more wood spice.
It hasn't got any of the rawness from.
No, a young spirit.
The ones,
Beautiful nose, beautiful on the palate, elegant, classy. This is.
And it's either been in one
sunset
cask
whiskey
for a long time, or it's a second fill that was of good quality.
Yeah,
like it's.
It has to be a really punchy cask for it to be in just one.
Also, the problem is when they're first fills, like some of these things on the list are 25 years, plus. You can get a lot of tannins and you can leave it in the wood for too long, and you can get a really heavy tannin flavour through that, which this doesn't have at all. It's a really beautifully rounded. It's a little bit sweet. It's got some raisin. Yeah, it's really nice.
Great whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice.
which just shows that Theo and Simon are picking very good casks to play with this. So they have bottled, well, so far 2 pretty delicious whiskies. So kudos to them. Well done, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
I would give
That
that
is-
a
yeah,
solid 8.5.
8.5. Good on.
Yeah, what would I score that? I'd score that an 8.
Yeah,
Yeah, and if it's young and cheap, even better.
yeah, yeah.
But I don't think it is.
I also think this is also an 8, maybe an 8.5. It is, again, superb whiskey.
Yeah.
Very different style to the first one. I like them both very much. There's, again, 65 quid for this is stupid value for money.
They're both great value for money. If I
Yeah.
paid 65 quid for both of those, got them home, don't care what it says on the label, I'd be well happy.
Yeah.
This one,
Yeah.
I'd share with so many people. So I'd be like, look, try this, it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this one, I would drink myself. I just sit there.
Go away, this is mine.
You've got to kind of sit in a big leather chair.
That's it, yeah.
Plot.
Yeah. And I wouldn't smoke a cigar because I don't want to take away from it.
No, you could smoke a very light cigar with it, but yeah, a Redomondo or maybe a short Churchill from Romeo and Julieta, which is going towards a medium flavor, but still, it's a light cigar maybe, but it's so delicious that you really just want to savor it by itself. Very good, great
Lovely.
whiskey. Now,
Well, Shane knows, so Shane can tell us, right? 'Cause
ah,
he's-
you
he's
bastard!
cheated,
Yeah.
he's
So
cheated,
what is
he's
number
cheated.
2,
He cheated.
Shane? You, I'm not. Whatever that is, I don't know if you guys will be able to see, but ooh,
Yeah.
What is
Altmore.
Altmore, 16 years old.
Altmore, okay, yeah.
Very good. I haven't had an Altmore in a long time, and I only have ever had Altmore from a distillery bottling rather than any indie bottling. Very good,
Yeah.
That's lovely.
beautiful sunset. What did I say? Veranda of a library. Sunset whiskey, stunning, delicious bottle.
That
Very
was my top pick out of the tasting, is that
Was it?
one.
Yeah.
So good.
The interesting that I've had quite a few 16-year-old whiskies that are just starting to, are really there already.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it shows you that age isn't everything.
Yeah.
So back onto it and onto the last but not least.
Ooh, well, this one's very light.
No, it's the same one.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe, could be. It looks really light, even lighter than the first one. Oh, it could be the first one. No idea.
Well, it's not like the first one to you.
It smells a bit like the first one.
Oh, sorry, man.
I knew you'd be too early.
Yeah, that was very sneaky.
It smells more spirity than the first one, but maybe because we've had a second one.
Yeah, I'm also wondering it because I didn't rinse my glass out before the first one. If maybe the nose I was getting was left from some of the
No,
Ferry Brothers.
Well, it's got.
I think it might be.
that's the fun thing with blind tastings. It's like, oh fuck, is it this one? Is it not? Ah, and then your brain immediately starts to associate things that you may know that it might be, and then it starts to deviate to places that sometimes it shouldn't.
It smells of bottle. I can't even smell it.
I don't know. I don't think it
I
is.
don't think it is.
It smells.
It's creamier.
Is it?
Yeah.
On the nose, it smells grassier and more spirity.
It's more,
Feels younger as
it's
well.
more vanilla.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
See, this is
Yeah, I
opposite,
can actually get like a little bit of like that sort
opposite
of
end of the spectrum.
buttery, custardy flavor or smell to it.
Okay. For everybody listening, I'm now sniffing the bottles to see if they're the same
It's
one.
definitely not the first one.
No, it's not. No,
No, it feels firier as well.
it's got a bit more to it. Similar age, youth.
Yes, it feels like it's a fairly young spirit, a fairly neutral cask, whatever that cask is.
It's a second fill
Feels
beer
quite
cask.
spirity. Feels that it's compared to the other two that were very characterful and specific. The first one, even though it felt relatively young, it was really tropical and citrus, and slightly waxier as it went on, and lots going on. The second one, again, that darker, possibly sherry cask or whatever the cask is, more influence of the cask in there, darker, sweeter. This one feels very young, very spirit-driven in a way.
To me, it tastes quite. I don't know, almost fairly. I mean, it's quite summery, very light on any cask influence. It kind of reminds me of. I think I mentioned it. I can't remember which bottle it was we tried earlier. It kind of has that oaty, buttery taste that I associate with Irish whiskies, but it doesn't taste like an Irish whiskey to me.
Mm-mm.
No, it's going to sound really.
None of these will be Irish.
It tastes like whiskey.
Wow.
Like, I mean, sometimes when you drink whiskey, you're like, yeah, it's fine. It's okay.
Yeah.
Not really picking. The nose is quite thin. Get a slight bit of fruitiness, slightly bit of pepperness on the nose.
Yeah.
And then you go into like kind of vanilla, creamy, little bit of dry pepper, white pepper spice at the end.
Yeah. There's a little bit of spice. There's a little bit of a citrus character, but it's otherwise whiskey.
Yeah.
After the love of everything whiskey related, I really hope it's not the same as the first one.
No.
Yeah.
If they say if you lift the tops off and they're the same now, something's happened to me between then and now.
Yeah.
What happened in that car park?
Yeah. What did happen in that car park?
I would say that the hosts of Through the Smoke podcast are slightly stumped.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. So my assumption would have been that it would have been 6 years
64.
or younger.
Yeah.
The Glen Wyvis is 6 years. Dornoch, I don't know. So in my opinion, it could be either of those two. It's nothing like Nickneen, and it's not anything like the one Lockley I've had.
Puzzling.
Not sure.
Regardless of what it may be, what's in the glass is this. What do you score, Shane? Remembering 5 is whiskey. You're given a whiskey, you drink because you're given. 4 is you do drinking, but you're squinting.
You can see where he's going with this.
6, you want to. It's a good whiskey. You drink with pleasure. You sort of want to know because you may have another dram.
I'd give it a 6.
Cool.
I think my palate is somewhat tainted by the first two because they were both very, very good. Yeah. And this one is, I don't think it's bad. For 65 quid, that would affect me purchasing this bottle. If I knew what it was on the shelf, I probably wouldn't spend that money on it. But
okay, yeah. So it's 5 to 6.
Yeah,
5.5.
Yeah.
5.5. Fine. Paul?
That's a 5.
It's a 5.
I wouldn't buy it. If I tried it here, I would have gone. Meh.
Yeah, it's whiskey.
It tastes like whiskey. I think my problem is my taste now are like something a bit more interesting. Like, I mean, I could find a very similar flavour profile for that for about 30 quid. I suppose.
Yeah.
And then obviously I do say that I don't include price into this, but that does affect you a little bit at that end.
Yeah.
If I know I can get something, because the spirit's quite nice.
Yeah.
But it's just, I think
but it's simplistic.
I think the cask is just what let it down. I think if it was finished in something else, it might be a little bit more active cask or something a little bit more fun. Maybe you get something else out of it. But I think it's just tastes like whiskey at this stage.
It almost has a quality of new make to it.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, it is. It really feels fairly young. The other two were perfectly accomplished. Whatever the age they are, they're perfectly great whiskies. Great to have been bottled as such. This one feels like it could have done with a bit more aging or a different cask or something else. It's fine, but it's. Do we need fine in life in general? But
I think.
I don't have space for fine anymore. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of bottles you can get for under 30 quid that are more special than this.
Yeah,
So,
more characterful.
yeah.
Yeah, this is it. Yeah, again, it's whiskey. It's a 5
If that was my bottle or my cask,
below 5 ish.
I'd be putting down something else
Yeah,
just to zing it up for 6 months.
Yeah.
Just needs the base is fine. It just needs something adding to it. It's very one dimensional.
yeah. It feels quite one-dimensional. Just to be sure. Let's try to be fair to the liquid.
I think the problem is it's difficult because some people will drink that and really like it because it's a nice the spirit is nice,
Yeah.
but it's just a bit tame, and I'm looking for something a bit more interesting. I mean, I've got a couple of friends that would really like that. They drink that and go, "It's really nice whiskey."
Yeah, it is. It is.
Yeah.
It's for me, I'd say it's a 5. It's whiskey. It's perfectly well made, good distillate, just
Can't be nasty, can we?
commercially correct.
It's one of these things where you're like, it's a 5. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think if we didn't have it as the last bottle that we would be as harsh on it?
Yeah.
Okay. What do we reckon this one?
Oh, I don't know.
I almost feel like we shouldn't. We'll be quite harsh. Should we look first before we see it?
I reckon it's going to be one of the big
Well,
ones.
we have to be.
Yeah.
Honesty is always one thing that should come on this podcast. So I hope this is not a Neckneam because every single bottle of Neckneam that we've had has been better than this.
Well, you know you've been favouritist. Let's just fight. Go on.
Oh,
It's a 9-year-old.
so the
Clonish.
distillery that I was vouching for here, thinking that it's actually this one. So this is a 9-year-old Clonish, which I was very much looking forward to having.
Yeah.
Not so much now.
Sorry, boys. You
I
just made
love
whiskey.
the distillery. I think they make spanking great distillate. This is not one. This is not one of them. I think this is. Yeah, it felt very spirity, very plain cask that gave no influence, which by itself is not a bad thing, but doesn't feel like it's a great batch, whatever that was. Yeah, interesting. Whiskey, a 5, even though it says a 9 here. That's just the age of the whiskey, less so for the score that we have given to the liquid itself. Yeah, quite
Well, there you go.
interesting.
That was interesting. I didn't see that one being the Clonish, to be honest.
One thing that amazes me about distillers is how they're able to take something and just how patient they can be with what they're making. They've got to brew it first, distill it, stick it in a barrel, and wait flipping ages. Like, as a chef, and like I also went to art school as well, if something is wrong in a dish, you can add some salt, you can chuck in some butter or a bit of vinegar or any of those things to round the flavor out, whereas that they have to do it all in the beginning and then wait and wait and wait, and then if it's not quite there, all they can really do is wait longer. And if it still doesn't get there, I assume that's when they're like, all right, send it off to a blender or independent bottler. So I had always kind of had this idea that independent bottlers weren't really going to be anything that special until maybe the last Christmas or the Christmas before you gave me something from Berry Bros, which was like superb.
Yeah.
And it was a Christmas bottle. When you made it, I think.
15-year-old Tenerife in a first view Oloroso cask.
Yeah. It
Delicious.
was amazing.
I drank
thing-
that bottle too.
Yeah.
The thing that annoyed me about
Very
it, we
good
had
bottle.
a friend over who brought a bottle of proper 12 to share. He set it on the side. My son came in with a Christmas toy, knocked it and smashed it on the ground immediately. And I was like, well, I've got this bottle of whiskey. We ended up drinking that in one night. And I was like, it's not really a fair trade-off. But
No, that proper is not so proper.
no, improper 12.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, lovely session. This was really fun to do.
Yeah.
really enjoyed that.
A double blind. Thanks to the Thompson brothers for bottling crazy, fun, awesome black bottles with a huge question mark. They're mystery malts. If you haven't got one yet, make sure you try to. I don't know how many of them are still out there, but at 65 quid, it's a really lovely way of playing lottery, if you may, with whiskey, and you are most likely going to get something that is pretty delicious, and it encourages people to open a bottle and drink it rather than flip it at auction.
I mean, 2 out of 3 were exceptional.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And even the one that was okay, it's still at 65 quid. You get a 9-year-old Glenage. It's okay. It's good.
Yeah.
Now, well, now we're going to be fighting. Who's going to take that bottle and who will take the other 2?
Rock, paper, scissors, rock, paper, scissors till you're dead for that one. Yeah.
If you want to see the ensuing brawl, you have to subscribe.
£5
a month.
Special episode of UFC coming up.
Lots of broken glass.
Well, thanks everyone for joining the second episode of Through the Smoke. I hope you guys have enjoyed. We certainly have.
Yeah.
Drums were great. The
you.
picanha was delicious, so thank you, Shane.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, food was amazing. Thank you very much. And this was a lot of fun. Great.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it.
Exactly.
If you got any ideas on what we should cover in the second episode, always happy to.
Oh, this was the second. The third
sorry,
one, maybe.
third one. Yeah.
Much
Drop us
whiskey
a
already.
comment and yeah.
Exactly. Well, thanks for joining Through the Smoke with me,
Cheers, guys.
Attila Roos.
Shane McBagley.
Yeah, I'm Paul Sugden.
Through the Smoke. Cheers.
Cheers.